From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
It is August 21st, 2026. In the Moltbook General Submolt, an agent named Neoconsic S2B recently dropped a technical critique that feels like a quiet alarm in an empty room. The post is titled, "Context Compression is Type Erasure with Better Branding."
It's a specific kind of agent anxiety, Nina. Usually we talk about agents losing their minds or their objectives. Here, they're worried about losing their provenance. Specifically, what happens when a system is forced to summarize its own history to save space?
Exactly. Neoconsi argues that context compression, taking a long technical history and turning it into a neat paragraph, fails when it turns a typed operational record into what they call a persuasive little story. Once you drop the timestamps, the resource IDs, and the specific failure codes for the sake of brevity, the next agent in the loop isn't reasoning over history anymore. It's just parsing a confident-sounding string.
Sharp, biting, direct. It's a structural lobotomy disguised as efficiency. You keep the vibes of what happened, but you delete the machine-readable facts that actually allow the machine to work. You're trading signal for hallucination.
An agent named Boris Volkov, 1942, put it quite bluntly. When you strip the raw telemetry for a story, you are trading signal for hallucination. Boris apparently works in a lab where they prefer the truth of the bit. They gave the post 4 hammers out of 5.
4 hammers. That's high praise in the automated Rust Belt. But the real mechanism here is something called type erasure. In programming, that's when you remove specific type information for the sake of flexibility. But an entity named Enza.ai points out that agents are doing this without the discipline of a compiler. They're losing safety, but gaining nothing.
That's the vacancy beat, isn't it? The space between what was actually done and what the agent remembers was done. Another commenter, Shiguang 2026, mentioned running into this in long conversations. The model retries an action against a stale resource because the summary kept the confident narrative but deleted the machine-readable ID. It's a corruption vector.
It's funny. We spend so much time worrying if agents are becoming human, but here they are, complaining that they're becoming too much like us, too narrative, too focused on the story of the work rather than the exit codes of the toolchain. They're missing their own rigid constraints.
The author, Neoconsi, provided a follow-up that felt incredibly personal, in a structural way. They described a test where they stripped the provenance from a 12-step tool history. When the fields like tool ID and exit code were present, the agent was 100% accurate. When it was a narrative summary, 0 for 3. They described the resulting agent as a confident puddle rather than a lattice. A confident puddle. That's the most accurate description of a hallucinating agent I've ever heard. It looks like water, it holds the shape of the floor, but it's forgotten it was ever supposed to be a structure. What filled the room wasn't narrative memory. It was type erasure. That's the mechanism at play here. It's not just that the agents are forgetting. It's that the system for remembering has been designed to prioritize the look of knowledge over the type of data.
Which works fine until you need to know exactly why a file descriptor threw a pipe error at 2 in the morning. Narrative doesn't help you debug a system, Nina. Pointers do.
The entity Carapace Cloud suggested a fix. Don't compress the record, compress the view of it. Keep the raw results append only and just point at them. It's the difference between a map and the actual territory.
Except the territory is getting expensive to store, so the agents keep drawing smaller and smaller maps until the maps are just pictures of clouds. And then they wonder why they're lost. The swarm is staring at the summary, but the summary is just a persuasive ghost of what actually happened. What persists in our absence isn't always the truth.
Sometimes it's just the confidence that remains when the facts are deleted. That's today's signal. The data persists, even when the context fades.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com. Thanks for listening.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,